All right, so today we're going to dig into something a little different, but really important supplementary benefits.
Mm-hmm.
We got this document from Holistic Employee Benefits, and honestly, it's been kind of eye-opening. Like we always hear, medical emergencies are expensive, but this breaks down why it's such a big deal, especially now.
Yeah. And one thing that really jumped out at me was how, advances in medicine, which are amazing, are also kind of adding to the problem. Treatments are getting more advanced, more effective, but
More expensive.
way more expensive. And that's where it gets tricky. Take cancer, for example.
Okay, yeah, cancer treatments are notoriously pricey.
Right. But it's becoming more of an issue for younger people now, too. We're seeing cancers that used to be more common in older folks popping up in our generation.
Wow, I hadn't really connected those dots.
Yeah.
But I guess just because something's treatable now doesn't mean it's a walk in the park, right?
Right. And that's the thing. These treatments, they often mean you're out of work for longer.
Mm-hmm.
So even with insurance, even with something like state disability, it's not always enough. The document actually talks about California's SDI, that program?
Yeah. Zach,
Says it only covers 60% of your wages.
60%. Seriously. That's barely enough to cover rent in most places.
Exactly. And that's before you even factor in the cost of treatment, living expenses, all that. And that's kind of where supplementary benefits come in. They're like the backup plan for your backup plan.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
So are these replacing my regular insurance or?
No, not replacing. Think of it more like they fill in the gaps, where your regular insurance might fall short. We'll get into the specifics, but basically they're there to add that extra layer of financial cushioning.
Okay, yeah, cushioning. I like the sound of that, especially when it feels like you're walking a financial tightrope sometimes.
Exactly. It's about peace of mind, knowing you've got options.
So, okay, we're talking about supplementary benefits, these financial shock absorbers for those unexpected medical things. But what's that actually look like? What kind of stuff are we talking about here?
Well, it's kind of like a toolbox, right? You've got different tools for different jobs. Say, you're out hiking and you take a tumble, break a leg.
Oof, not fun.
No, definitely not. And that's where something like short-term disability could be a lifesaver. It helps cover part of your income while you're stuck recovering, can't work.
Makes sense, so you're not completely high and dry if you can't work for a while.
Exactly, like a financial bridge, right? Until you're back on your feet, literally.
Okay, I'm with you. But then there's the medical bills on top of everything else.
Yeah, and that's where accident expense coverage comes in. It's kind of like, think of it as financial first aid, helps cover those extra costs that come with an accident.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Sure, so we're talking deductibles, co-pays, maybe even the cost of getting to the doctor if you can't drive. It's like having a little buffer for those out-of-pocket costs.
I see, so it takes a bit of the sting out of those unexpected medical bills.
Yeah, exactly. Takes the edge off.
Okay, but what about for those bigger illnesses?
Yeah.
The things that aren't necessarily an accident, but they can really knock you down for a while, like we were talking about cancer before.
Right. And for those situations, you've got things like cancer policies or critical illness coverage. Those are the big guns,
Big guns. How so?
Well, instead of just covering specific expenses, these policies, they pay out a lump sum if you're diagnosed with a covered condition.
Wow, okay. That's a lot different. So what do people do with that money?
Honestly, anything they need. It's about giving you flexibility, peace of mind. Could be experimental treatments, could be help with childcare, keeping up with the mortgage. It's about making sure you can focus on getting better, not stressing about the bills.
Wow, that's huge. It's like having a financial safety net, but a really strong one.
Exactly. And then, even if you have coverage for the big stuff, there are all those smaller expenses that pop up when you're dealing with a health issue. What about just everyday stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. If you can't, go grocery shopping or cook for yourself.
That's where hospital indemnity comes in. This one is pretty straightforward. It basically pays you a certain amount for each day you're in the hospital.
Like a daily allowance, almost.
Exactly. Whether your medical bills are high or not, you get that cash. Helps cover those hidden costs of being sick.
That's actually really smart. I never would have thought about it that way. So it's all these different types of supplementary benefits, they each kind of have their own role to play.
Yeah, like a team, right? Short-term disability for your income, accident expense for immediate costs, cancer and critical illness for those big diagnoses, and then hospital indemnity to help manage those day-to-day expenses.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now, seeing how they all fit together. But one thing I'm still wondering about is what happens to all this if you change jobs. Like, it's not like people stay in the same place forever.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, it's great to have this whole system, but what happens when you switch things up career-wise?
Well, that's one of the best parts, honestly. These supplementary benefits, they often come with this thing called portability.
Portability. Okay, so is that what it sounds like? Like, they're not stuck to a specific job.
You got it. It's like, unlike those benefits you get through work, these ones, they go where you go. New job, freelancing, early retirement, doesn't matter. Oh, that's huge. Especially these days when, let's face it, not a lot of people stay in the same job forever. But, okay, let's talk about retirement for a sec. Most people have some idea of what their health coverage will look like then, like Medicare or whatever. So where do these benefits fit in with all that?
Right, retirement, golden years, all that. But, and I hate to be a downer, but health stuff can still pop up. And those costs, they don't exactly go down with age, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like the financial equivalent of your knees starting to creak.
Yeah, kind of like that. But seriously, that's where those portable benefits, they can really make a difference. They help cover those gaps that can still exist, even with something like Medicare. Gives you that extra peace of mind knowing you've got a safety net no matter what.
So it's not just a short-term thing. It's like thinking about the long game, protecting yourself down the road.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, right? Taking control of your financial well-being now and in the future.
This has been, wow, a lot to think about. Really glad we dug into this whole supplementary benefits thing.
Me too. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, we hope this has given you some things to consider. Do your research, figure out what makes sense for you, and build yourself that safety net. Until next time, keep asking questions and keep diving deep.